The InnoVEX 10th Anniversary Forum begins now. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to InnoVEX 10th Anniversary Forum, exploring the future of technology through the lens of what's next from Venture's perspective. My name is Anita. I'll be your host for today. For this forum, you'll gain valuable insights from leading experts and venture capitalists from Japan, Singapore, Israel, Canada, the United States, and Taiwan, sharing their perspectives and hands-on experience in sectors like semiconductors, AI, healthcare, and consumer products. We will also discover strategic insights for the future. To begin the forum, I would like to invite all our distinguished speakers on stage for a group photo. Please welcome the managing partner of Grow Ventures, Mr. Dolph Moran. Mr. Dolph Moran, welcome. Please come to the stage. The CEO of CMC Microsystems, Mr. Gordon Harling. Welcome. The founding managing partner of Blueprint Ventures, Ms. Huiting. The president of TriOrient Investments, Mr. Chris Cottorone. The Representative Director and COO of Leva Nest Group, Dr. Shuichiro Takahashi. Thank you for coming. CEO of Mighty Net, Mr. Ray Tai. Okay, and I'd like to invite all our speakers to have some logos of our forum. Thank you. Let's commemorate this cherishable moment together. All right, let's have a big smile towards the camera. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, again towards the camera, please. 3, 2, 1, smile. And if it's possible, can we all have a thumbs up for another group photo? Thank you so much. Please look towards the camera again. 3, 2, 1, smile. Yeah, and of course, our next photographer. 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, thank you to our speakers so much. Thank you all for coming. Please return to your seats. Without further ado, we will now start all our keynote speeches. Our first speaker is the CEO of CMC Microsystems, Mr. Gordon Harling. Gordon has served as the founder and CEO of multiple startups with over 30 years of experience collaborating with industrial and academic researchers in the fields of microelectronics, microsystems, and nanotechnology across Quebec, Ontario, and Alberta. CMC Microsystems supports over 10,000 researchers and students at more than 80 colleges and universities in Canada, the United States, Mexico, and Australia. His topic today is the Canadian approach to AI research and deployment. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Gordon Harling.
Hello, hello. I hope people can understand me. Yesterday when I spoke into a microphone, nobody could understand a word. They're doing a little better? Okay, good. It's a Canadian accent, I suppose. Yes, so this will be quite a different talk because we do not invest. If you are a startup, there are two levers you can pull. You can either raise more money to pay for your tools, or you can reduce the costs of the tools. And so that is, in fact, what we try to do in multiple jurisdictions. So CMC Microsystems is a not-for-profit. It's 40 years old, a little over 40 years old. And we actually serve 12,500 users in both academia and startups in 22 countries. So we have internal development groups that can help startups with microelectronics, photonics, IoT development, which includes AI at the edge, and I'll talk a bit more about that. MEMS, which includes the packaging, and quantum technologies, both software and hardware. We are very much hardware focused, and we like those startups that do hardware. We actually track 257 university spin-outs that build hardware devices, and of those, after 25 years, 57% of them are still active and selling their product. So we really do like the fact that a hardware product that is embedded in someone else's system is very sticky and remains for a very long time with the customer. The company persists a very long time. So in Canada, there are about 97 universities total, and of those, 69 are in our network and use our tools and so on. I'd be happy to provide the slides if anyone's interested. It'll save you taking pictures if you like. And so we are in every province in Canada. We haven't quite penetrated into those Northwest territories. They're not very hardware-oriented yet. And every year there's between 15 and 20 new startups. Sadly, 23, 24 was not our best year, but we track all of those, we provide them with tools, and we help them to grow. Globally, as I say, we're in 22 countries. We have customers pretty much everywhere, and this is either CAD tools or fabrication access or IP assistance. We have 3 internal business groups that we call CAD, Fab, and Lab. CAD, we actually negotiate with the suppliers of many different types of computer-aided design software. So a lot of this is used to build AI chips, and I've got more to say about that. And what we can do is we can help negotiate with the CAD vendor, get you a low-cost CAD tool, and then we can support it. So we have a program for startups or even academics where we support the tool, we install it, we maintain it. We're the first level of support, and we can also connect design kits so that you can design your own ICs. And once you've designed a chip, we actually have about 16 different foundries around the world where we can develop these microelectronics, photonics, and MEMS devices. And in fact, we run the world's first, and as far as I know, only superconducting multi-project wafer service. So the first year we did this, we had 6 designs, then 10, then 16, and last year 19, where people were actually designing superconducting devices, so quantum interfering devices, squids for MRI machines, single flux quantum circuits, and transmon qubits for building your own quantum computer. So quite a broad level of services, and of course we offer package and assembly as well. And we've been talking to ITRI today about collaborating with them on optical packaging. So really exciting developments. And in AI, of course, there's a whole suite of opportunities, shall we say. We have an FPGA GPU CPU cluster. We can actually do training on that. We have optimization software, and we can help people with deploying these things at the edge of the internet in a microphone or a sensor array or into a camera and so on. And so a couple of companies in Canada, Untether and TriOrient, have offered us their hardware, and we actually have that available on the web for anyone to deploy their models and to try out their software. There are many, many opportunities in the AI space, from training and data generation, from IoT objects all the way down to the user interface and so on. We have an issue in Canada that we don't have the same deep pockets that you do in Taiwan or that companies in the US or China have. And so we have to pick our battles. We do have a lot of basic technology. So we have different AI institutes, which have hundreds of researchers in them and are developing new protocols and so on. Geoffrey Hinton works at the University of Toronto. I think he's a professor emeritus now, but he received the Nobel Prize in 2024 for some of the very basic operations that led to these large language models that are very extant right now. And Yoshua Bengio, of course, is in Montreal. And he's a very big name in deep learning, so I'm sure there'll be a Nobel Prize in his future at some point, but he's very highly referenced. We also have a number of successful startups. So again, I'm very biased towards hardware startups because that's what we do, is we develop the AI chips with these folks. But Untether and TriOrient have raised hundreds of millions of dollars for developing inference engines, AI for the edge of the internet. And some other smaller companies like Applied Brain Research, ABR, Bluemind, Hepzibah, are all developing unique components with hundreds of times lower power consumption than a GPU or a CPU. So very targeted for the inference opportunity. Canada did make a commitment of $2.4 billion Canadian, someone else do the math, 500 million Taiwan. I see some nods. The trouble is that's not enough to get very far. So one proposal we have made to the government is, why don't we take this Canadian hardware technology and build the world's most efficient data center, and a green data center that can use our water, our electricity, our sun, and most of our electricity is hydro-generated in Quebec, and so it's all green. Build something that's just unique and that does really edge computation as opposed to brute force, sorry NVIDIA, but brute force computation on GPUs and CPUs. So that is ongoing right now, still in planning stages, but about $2 billion of that will be dedicated to putting up sovereign compute capability in Canada, and hopefully with a good component of Canadian designed CPUs. So yeah, we have all these great reasons to put data centers in Canada, but in the first 6 months of last year, Alphabet, Google, Meta, Microsoft, they put $100 billion into data centers, and our budget is $2.4 billion over about 5 years, so we really aren't going to compete on that. But there is a much larger market, which is intelligent devices, or AI in IoT. So there's a group called AIoT Canada, and they are an industrial association, and they're looking at how do we do this in Canada so that we address the much larger market of intelligent devices, deploying trained models into IoT. So along that path, it took me many years, but in fact, CMC launched a program last summer, which we call Fabric. And this has two components to it. One is there are some semiconductor factories in Canada. So we do not make CMOS. We would never want to compete with TSMC or UMC or PSMC or any of those folks. But we do have a significant facility for doing compound semiconductors, specifically indium phosphide, a bit of gallium nitride and gallium arsenide. We have one of the world's largest open MEMS foundries. It's owned by Teledyne now, but it has factories in Quebec and in Alberta, so across the country. We have significant photonics capability. So Teledyne is doing some of this, but there are a number of smaller labs across Canada that can do silicon photonics and silicon nitride. And finally, we are just installing expansions to two of our factories to do superconductors. So the superconducting training and design that we've been doing, we've been using VTT in Finland, but this year we'll actually fabricate those devices in Canada. So they'll be both a 6 and an 8-inch line for doing superconductors. So that's the fabrication side of the equation. And the other part of this $4 billion NT dollar program is to subsidize the development of IoT devices. And so we'll be able to pay up to 50% of the cost of someone wanting to build an AIoT device, and our intention is to embed AI into those. So our internal AI group is actually developing modules that can be used for real-time video recognition, for pattern recognition, for voice and speech recognition in an AI device, in an IoT device, I should say. So that was launched last July. We had in a 2-week window for expressions of interest, we had 138 proposals for more than the entire 5-year budget, so slightly embarrassing. But there's a lot of demand for this and a lot of activity in Canada to do these kinds of things. So today, probably later this week, or next week, I should say, we will have 20 projects worth about $30 million will start to develop IoT devices with intelligence in them. And there'll be also some process development. So that's our big investment. Obviously, there are many components to the whole IoT area. There are cloud services, there are IoT devices, there's interfaces and so on. So there's lots of software issues and problems in there. We tend to focus more on the hardware. And here in the bottom corner in the green, you can see this is where we think Canada has an opportunity. And that is we can provide AI devices that are secure, private, reliable, have the latency and bandwidth, and we can manufacture those in Canada. We have lots of PCB, electronic assembly, and packaging capability. So it's an area where we think that we can actually play a reasonable game. Canada is very well known too for design centers. The U.S. especially, many of the large multinationals like to put their design centers into Canada because we have tax credits, we pay in Canadian dollars, we have very highly trained engineers, and they're well reputed and quite stable. They don't tend to job jump as much as in some other jurisdictions. So I think there's a great opportunity here for us to do both custom chips and IoT devices in Canada. And then there's a range of edge devices, of course, with various capability and requirements. And so we have projects in each of these sort of areas. Canada is also a very large automotive center. For those of you who aren't aware, we sell a lot of cars to the U.S. specifically, and they're manufactured in Southern Ontario. All of the major manufacturers, Toyota, Honda, Stellantis, they all have factories in Canada. So there's quite a lot of development of automatic driving systems, LiDAR, which we say no moving parts LiDAR. It's totally photonic LiDAR without the spinning engine that breaks down all the time. And lots of gaming companies as well, all attracted by the value of the quality of the engineers and the low cost of operations in Canada. We did a demo. I'm embarrassed because I walk around the floor here and you're 10 years ahead of us. But we thought it was pretty good. And so we can actually use the camera to determine, are the people in the warehouse lying on the floor? Have they climbed more than a meter off the floor? If they're going up and down stairs, are they using the handrail? Are they wearing their gloves? Are they wearing helmets? And so we can do a whole lot of security features, which are, of course, non-invasive, because you're not sending raw video to anyone. No one has to watch it, but you get an alert when any of these things happen, and you can see if it's a problem. So these kinds of things obviously can be multi-sensor fusion, multi-sensors, multi-cameras, and we can make much more complex systems using this kind of capability. You have already discovered that, and you're way ahead of us, but we're still doing our bit. And then, of course, sensors. So the 4 technologies that we chose for doing fabrication in Canada: MEMS, micro-electromechanical sensors, photonic sensors. There's an awful lot of applications for those, both in industry, in factories, and autonomous vehicles, and healthcare, and so on. So we're exploring all of those kinds of areas and trying to develop, high TRL 6, 7, 8, 9 devices that we can fabricate in Canada. It is a very fractured market. There are many, many different things going on, but we tend to have low volume, high mix factories. So we're quite good at that, and we can adapt and build these new applications, and hopefully they will grow, and organically we'll be able to expand our factories and keep going up until TSMC wants the business, and then we'll have to give it to them. We also develop IP blocks to speed development so that people can start from a platform and then build on top of it. And so we created a Swift moat. It's just a little button. You can shake it. Nobody knows the size of a Canadian quarter, but it's around about a $1 Taiwan coin. So you shake it, it wakes up, it sends the accelerometer data, temperature, the light level, and so on, to your phone. So there's a phone or an app that runs in your phone. And so some people saw that, and they wanted us to make the electrochemical sensor. So this is triangular because it goes on the back of a rat. There are probes into the rat's brain, and they can inject the rat with a what is it that makes you sleep? Anyway, they inject them with drugs, measure the level, anesthetic. They can measure the level of anesthetic in the rat's brain, and then we can determine how the rat is moving. So there's an inertial measurement unit that can decide whether it's sleeping, snoring, walking, jumping, turning left all the time, whatever. And all of that data is sent out to Mila, one of the AI institutes, and they analyze it for patterns, and they compare it to the rat's body temperature and the brain activity and all that sort of stuff. So a very intriguing sort of application, and that will eventually go into patient bedside monitoring. And right now it's just being used for animal testing. And we also have a network with about 800 members in it. This is mainly Canadians, and we have regular meetings of that AI, IoT innovation network. And Yassine Hariri is our expert on AI internally at CMC, who deals with all of that. And that's it. I've actually run early. Thank you very much. I'm a terror for that. Are there any questions? Seeing as we have 4 minutes. Yes.
I noticed that in your presentation, 5G is in the development of it. What do you think about? What do you think about Huawei, and what's the position that you may have regarding Huawei's capability in 5G? Is Canada going to change any policies related to that?
I hope so. Yes, so we had a very nice relationship with Huawei. They have about 1,000 designers in Canada. They can't use US software anymore, so they're using something from China to do their development work, but they do a lot of IC design and a lot of hardware design. Canada, in fact, is the only place outside of China that they do product development. They say Europe's okay for R&D, but not for product development so much. So, unfortunately, the Canadian government came out and actually established a list of Chinese companies with whom we may not work. And so there were 85 companies on the list originally. Now I think it's up to 120 or so on. So we had to disengage from Huawei, and they still hire lots of grads in Canada. They still have lots of activity, but we're not able to take them on as a client or work with them. So that's unfortunate, because I do like those guys. They do a lot of great work. And when we advertise we're looking for new servers and we want to buy them, best price, best performance, and we're using public funds. So you would think we could take them, but we can't. So it's an unfortunate reality that we can't work with them. And we still do, I guess one of the beauties of publishing a list of folks is that if they're not on the list, we can work with them. So we're still taking orders from universities in Hong Kong and that sort of thing. But for the moment, we're not allowed to actually work with them in terms of transferring IP or offering services or anything of that sort of stuff. So I do hope that Canada will start to warm things up with both China and India. Those are two markets that are way too large to ignore, and we'll have to work on that. And unfortunately, we are sort of under the influence of our neighbors to the south. He's going to put a picture of Trump up, but not me. Is that good? Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Sorry. One more. Then I'll have used my time.
Follow-up question. Yeah. Why does Canada don't use U.S. product? You mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, well, we do. We do use a lot of U.S. products. I think the average consumer right now is unhappy about the 51st state discussions. And so the average consumer, if they go to the grocery store, they're not buying watermelons from the U.S. They'll buy them from Mexico or whatever. So that's just sort of a grassroots, ground-up sort of protest. Nobody from the U.S. here, right? Sorry. That's my Canadian thing, sorry, yeah. So we are sort of pushing back on that. The junior senator from Vermont, I was at a meeting with him a few months ago, and so they never mentioned it, but I said to him, we would be happy to accept Vermont as the 11th province. And he said, I could find support for that. So I think a lot of people within the U.S. are apologizing to us about the behavior at this current time, and it does constrain us in what we can do. So Canada is very, very active at finding new partners. And so trying to diversify and get new R&D partners and new commercial partners. So we're here I am in Taiwan, but I was in the UK a month ago, and in Europe last week. And so we really are very active trying to find new folks that we can work with. Yeah. Tariffs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gordon Harling, for the insightful presentation. Coming next, our speaker would be the founding manager partner of Blueprint Ventures, Ms. Huiting. With over a decade of experience in consumer-centric businesses, Huiting spent 8 years in brand management and the past 5 years as a partner at an early-stage venture capital fund in Southeast Asia, focusing on investments in consumer and fintech companies. Notable investments include Tonic, Stashfin, and Saturdays. Her topics today would be AI and next-generation consumer businesses in Southeast Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to Ms. Huiting.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Should we all take a deep breath after a few very tense minutes? So, like she said, my name is Huiting. Hi. Hello. I am the founding managing partner of Blueprint Ventures, a seed stage venture capital fund in Southeast Asia, and we invest in consumer product and consumer technology businesses. Or am I? I just showed you 3 videos of me. I have never taken any of these videos in my life. AI today has made prototyping really easy, but it's still not something that we can 100% rely on yet. It has the power to blur the lines between fiction and reality, and it's a really powerful tool that we can use to augment our experience of the world or how the world experiences us. So depending on how I prompt ChatGPT, I can create 2 very different personas of myself. One, I am a Tier 3 strategic surveillance target for the CIA. And 2, I am the architect of perception, a beacon of good and bad, if ChatGPT was a digital fortune teller. One thing that we know for sure is that AI is definitely here to stay. I don't want to belabor the point that we've been talking about, or everybody's been talking about. Jensen Huang obviously made this quote. But essentially, it's real that AI is going to be taking over critical roles in our organizations in the future. And so it's critical that we understand the role of AI, what it can do, and its limitations. Okay, so let's break it down. So I'm a consumer investor, so I made things really easy. What is AI? AI, artificial intelligence, is simply the digitized version of how a human brain learns. We created it so that we could get machines to perform tasks and make decisions like we do. As humans, we have the ability to learn. Synaptic connections are created through repeated experiences, and the more experiences that we have, the stronger the synaptic connections. And over time, we are able to recognize patterns, to make sense of information much faster, and allows us to make faster and more accurate decisions. Enabling machines to think like us and to perform tasks like us simply make us more efficient and productive human beings. So today, we have trained AI so well that it can go beyond analyzing data. It can create visual imagery with all the right prompts. Can anybody guess which one of these 6 people are actually real? Trick question, they're all fake. But how is this possible? Modern AI today is really made possible because of the invention of the transformer. No, I'm not talking about Hollywood transformers. I'm actually talking about transformer architecture that was first published in a paper entitled "Attention is All You Need." Transformers enable researchers to basically compute large amounts of data at a computationally efficient scale with greater reliability. It has the ability to learn and be trained because it can remember context over a long period of time. As a result, AI that we know today is augmenting consumer behavior. It's changing the way that we discover, search, research, share, and brainstorm. Our experience of your best recommended Netflix shows or your Spotify radio playlist, or having ever used ChatGPT to draft that article or write that job description, who hasn't done that? Okay. Clearly, nobody in this room has done that. That's all made possible by these 6 companies that are essentially driving AI developments at various parts of the ecosystem. NVIDIA, we all know very well. It is providing the hardware infrastructure that powers the AI revolution. OpenAI is pioneer in Gen AI and LLMs. Meta is leading open source AI research and democratization. Anthropic focuses on AI safety and responsible systems. Perplexity changes the way that we search and discover info. And Hugging Face is the GitHub of machine learning and AI models. And all of these are made possible because of the trillions of dollars fueling foundation models and scalable AI infrastructure. More than close to 1.3 trillion private and public investment dollars have gone into funding AI since 2013. And within the private investment space, it remains the leading sector for private investment dollars. All of this essentially fast tracks innovation and AI adoption at scale. So at Blueprint, we invest in consumer companies with a blueprint to stay ahead of the competition. For some of our companies, this means using AI to drive hyper-personalization and impactful experiences. In our portfolio, we see AI driving measurable ROI across 3 critical business functions. The first being personalization and innovation. AI accelerates the content creation, marketing, and innovation development, enabling companies to test multiple concepts to find what sticks. In other words, AI enables companies to grow user love faster than ever before. Finding genuine love, relevance, and passion from a small group of users is a great signal for future scale. So we love this for our companies. It's essential for these companies who want to stay ahead of the competition and want to engage and maintain consumer loyalty. Customer experience is the second pillar. AI enables companies to deliver a more seamless customer experience to reduce friction in existing behaviors, minimizing that time to magic. Consumers want to be able to talk to and complain and receive responses 24/7. Companies want the ability to gauge consumer sentiment in the background in order to help them prioritize urgent issues. AI companies are basically AI is basically enabling companies to rapidly scale support and customer experience operations. And then lastly, in inventory management. In Southeast Asia especially, the rapidly changing consumer behavior and trends necessitate automated and predictive demand forecasting and inventory management solutions so that we can respond quickly to changing consumption patterns. AI simply provides these companies a greater supply chain resilience. So let's take a look at some examples where AI has been utilized to augment the user experience. InnoVEX is one of our portfolio companies. It is an English language online learning platform for working adults in Vietnam. It delivers 13,000 live classes per month to more than 5,000 active users, with only 300 teachers, essentially delivering about 12 learning hours per user per month. And none of these stats would be possible without the use of AI. So let's take a look at how it uses AI. First, smart scheduling. The AI basically groups learners by proficiency and matches them with the right teachers, enabling those 13,000 classes a month. Conversational tutor is also an AI tutor. It identifies weak areas like pronunciation, fluency, coherence, and grammar in speaking exercises. AI basically role plays with these students in real time with prompts to set boundaries on what is relevant for a specific theme, creating content on the fly. So what do I mean by that? If you're Vietnamese, hopefully there's no Vietnamese in the room. One of the most difficult things for Vietnamese to do is to say no in English, because there is no no in the Vietnamese English. So what AI does, it trains and contextualizes how to say no in English for a native Vietnamese speaker. Content development is also another area in which InnoVEX uses AI. It augments the initial brainstorming of different training methods and scaffolding methods, and also helps the team evaluate different offerings in the market in terms of lesson and class structuring, reducing weeks of research to just mere days. On the business side, InnoVEX uses AI in its marketing functions to rapidly create marketing content for testing across platforms to boost reach and impressions. AI agents engage prospective users quickly and contextually, providing high-volume AI responses with a human silhouette. So oftentimes, you don't even know that you're not speaking to a human. And then lastly, the AI also manages to scan 350,000 minutes of telesales calls monthly to summarize key messages and user sentiment, essentially providing a QC for its telesales team. By using AI, InnoVEX has been able to consistently grow its new user base while driving increasing repeat users. And this is a 24-month-old company. The next example is another one of our portfolio companies called SkinSoul. It is the world's largest and latest skincare store for K-beauty, offering a personalized experience and obviously all powered by AI. It is a 5 AI agent native operation, and it uses 5 different AI agents across these 5 different functions within the business. This is SkinSoul's e-commerce site. Everything that you see here has been created by AI. From the banner ad to the trend insights, that customer experience bot, that product sourcing, this entire category management of 7 and now probably 10,000 SKUs, product pages, dynamic pricing, fulfillment and logistics, all of that is done by AI. And what we see is that because it has been able to use AI with minimal human intervention, SkinSoul has been able to outcompete its #1 competitor, 12-year-old business from a part of the world that is experiencing difficult tariff situations. And it outcompetes its competitor in terms of product selection, days to delivery, and most importantly, headcount. So we love seeing AI built into the fabric of our consumer businesses. It has the power, like I said, to augment and transform the way we do business today, and also how we as consumers experience the world. In emerging markets like Southeast Asia, AI enables new businesses to leapfrog incumbents, democratize privilege by delivering hyper-personalization at scale, and change consumer behavior patterns beyond Southeast Asia's demographic. So think TikTok. AI isn't just going to help us solve problems. It will create new consumer behavior and interactions we have yet to imagine, essentially redefining what a next-generation consumer business can look like. Thank you. If you have any questions, let me know. No questions? Okay, great. Very nice. Thanks.
Thank you to Ms. Huiting Ko. Coming next, you can see our speaker is already ready right here. He is Mr. Chris Cottorone. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. The reason why I jumped the gun there and came up is because I talk fast. I have a lot of slides. I'm going to go through them, each of them. I hope you profit from them. I think you can tell I'm in the stock market, so that's why I talk fast. I also start my days at 3 o'clock in the morning every day since 2008. I usually go around till 8 o'clock at night, so it's about an 80 or 90-hour week. That's why I talk fast. It's Friday, so I'm running on adrenaline here. So I want to make sure that everybody doesn't miss what we're all saying. And thank you very much for all the speakers. They've done a great job. This is going to be a little different. I'll try to explain what the whole presentation is about. As you can see, I'm talking about empowering SMEs, small, medium-sized enterprises, in 3 societies via Taiwan, technology and investment. And I'm Chris Cottorone, president of TriOrient. And thank you very much for everybody here at InnoVEX. It's a great event, and it's the 10th anniversary. Okay, just a quick look. Okay, what we're going to look at here is the view from the investment industry. Okay, we just had one from a venture capital firm. Ours is a little bit different. I'll explain how that's different. Okay, the impact and the meaning of industry trends and policies globally on Taiwan. I'm based here in Taiwan. I've been here 30 years. Okay, I've been in the region pretty much continuous in 1989. And we're going to leverage opportunities for Taiwan, its tech industry, and SMEs. I think everybody's here because they see the value in Taiwan. Maybe I'll explain a little bit more why. And also assess some of the challenges ahead. Okay, the way it's going to be is I'm going to talk about myself just briefly, about 2 slides or so. We're going to set the stage. And we're going to talk about the tech industry and SMEs in Taiwan. And then we're going to talk about innovation. And I'll explain what I mean about innovation and what I think it is. And also opportunities for investment and among partners and going forward from there. Okay, let's talk my past here. Okay, as I mentioned, I've been here for a long time. I won't go too much into it. I was in the tech field for 10 years, from 1996 to about 2006, 2007. Okay, before that, I was in Beijing in 1988 and 1989. We know what happened then. I was here in Taiwan as a graduate student in 1991, 92 when the Soviet Union fell. When I was in the tech industry, there was the Asian financial crisis, the dot-com bubble. When I got into the industry for investment, 2008 was the global financial crisis. So days like this, okay, days like today, afternoons like this are not really anything that I'm not used to, okay? And the times that we're living in, very chaotic times, I'm also used to that too. And I think try to make sure that everybody understands what we're in right now. Okay, I'm the president of a single family office, okay? We don't have any outside investors. We only invest in the Taiwan stock market, equities and bonds, okay? Not because we're not a profit maximization fund. We're a capital preservation fund. We're trying to find out where the risk is and reduce it. Okay, of course, we still like to make a profit, but that's not our only goal. And Taiwan, by the way, is a great market for that. I'm the co-chair for the Private Equity Committee at AmCham in Taiwan. I'm a member of the Capital Markets Committee at AmCham Taiwan, and a great organization. I'm very proud to be a member of that for many years. And also, I'm a board member now of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Taipei. I have ancestors from Italy, and we just finished up our first AGM here, and it's a new Chamber of Commerce in Taiwan, and it's also very important because Taiwan needs more relations and more business. Okay, about the investment industry. Okay, I just want to say one thing. Okay, when I went from technology into the field of investment, my friend and founder of our company, our group, took me aside and said, Chris, I know you're not an investor yet, you're going to learn, but remember, one thing about investment, if everybody stands on one side of the boat tips over. Okay, that's very, very important. And it means, by the way, that I accept all different types of views. Okay, if somebody tells me to buy a stock, I want to hear from the person who's telling me to sell that stock. If somebody says AI is going to be the future, I want to hear why they think AI is not going to be the future. So divergence is just as important as convergence. In fact, I'd say more, because you learn more. The other thing they said was kind of interesting too. Remember, the stock market's driven by 2 emotions, fear and greed. Fear and greed, okay? And that works great in the stock market because remember, FOMO, fear of missing out, makes you want to buy more stocks, but it doesn't work in most other industries. And I hate to say it right now, this year there's been a lot of fear. Everybody's nervous about what's happening. Everybody's nervous about the future policy. I hope I can explain some of it to make it less frightening. Let's set the stage. A couple weeks ago, I'm at AmCham. One of the government agencies asked us to come in all our financial committees. And they said, can you guys tell us, as Americans, you know, what does the first 100 days mean of the Trump administration? And I said, okay, listen, every day with Donald Trump is different. In Chinese, they say, 一天比一天不一样. Okay, we know that. Okay, I said, don't worry about the past 100 days. Worry about the next 100 days, even the next 7 days. And sure enough, that's April 30th. May 1st, we have a holiday. May 2nd, we come back, and I'm vindicated because we don't have a stock market crash. We don't have problems on tariffs. We have the NT dollar surging through the roof. Every day is different. And it should mean something for every investor if you're an investor. And it should mean everything for a person who's designing a company, building a company, designing technology. The uncertainty is much more palpable these days. Okay, I don't know, is anybody going to stand up and protest? I hope not. You could argue that Donald Trump is an innovator. He's destroying a lot of things, okay? He's got his idea of what he wants the world to be, okay? So When we're talking about innovation at InnoVEX, we're talking about innovation all through the industry, the tech industry. Remember, there's other types of innovation. And some of these types of innovation will have an impact on the technology innovation. And also, too, just to explain something, I'm from New York State. I had family in the real estate development industry. He's from New York City. He was a real estate mogul, right? Remember what he was and what he wasn't. He's a real estate developer. He wasn't a tech mogul. He wasn't a financial executive. He wasn't a stock market whiz. In fact, his company wasn't on the stock market. And he wasn't a manufacturer. That tells you a little bit about what his policies may or may not be. His focus appears to be this time bringing back jobs to America, inbound FDI, foreign direct investment, and manufacturing, and also balancing trade flows. So people always tell me, Chris, you're in the stock market. What's the impact on the stock market? Do you think he's going to help it? He's a businessman, right? He's a businessman. Well, he's a different businessman. And I can say I don't think he really cares about the stock market as much as you might think, because I don't think he thinks the economy is strong just because the share prices are doing well. Well, here's what the world looked like before he got on in January 20th or January 19th, right? Everybody can trade everywhere, everybody can fly everywhere. Next day he comes in and it's all broken up into pieces. Russia, China out, they're on their own. Japan, Korea, Taiwan working together as small economies, very technologically advanced. We have India, Southeast Asia, trying to get some of the manufacturing away from China. We have the Middle East. Now we saw Donald Trump going there. We see other countries going there to develop the markets there. We have Europe. And then we have, of course, USA. And we have maybe, hopefully, Canada and Mexico together with the USA still. By the way, I have relatives in Canada. Okay, so just so you know. So lessons from history. Okay, remember, there was a time centuries ago when the castles were built. People, societies, they built castles for a reason. The world outside was a very dangerous place. They were scared. They didn't know what to do. It was dangerous. So what did they build? They built walls around themselves. And in many ways, you could argue the world we're living in the next few years are going to be similar like that, just in a little bit different way. So, last thing about setting the stage. The US-China trade war tensions seem to be reduced right now. They've cooled down, but the long-term tensions are still there, particularly in tech and in security. Technology developers and firms are having to take other factors into consideration. Remember, geopolitics now, restrictions on where you can share your technology, the markets, and the society's actual needs. Large firms will be the focus of those policymakers all around the world. What will that mean for SMEs? There's a lot of small, medium-sized enterprises here trying to figure out their future. Taiwan is dominated by small, medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. What will this mean? What should Taiwan and its firms do? What they should be focusing on? Think about this. We have a new Pope, Pope Leo. Even before he's inaugurated, he makes his first statement. It's not about poverty. It's not about hunger. It's not about world peace. It's about what he thinks the threat of AI is going to be. Now think about that. Okay, if he thinks that this is something we need to talk about, a discussion about, I guarantee you this is why this year's Computex and InnoVEX is different than all the ones before it. Because we know something more about this is a different type of technology. And by the way, for Taiwan, that's important because remember, the Vatican is the only diplomatic ally Taiwan has in Europe. And then we see Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, go there. He gets to meet with the former Vice President of Taiwan. So they're able to talk about these issues there because they're addressing the issues that probably the Pope and other people in the society are going to be addressing. So Taiwan's tech industry, let me give you, for those of you who are coming into Taiwan for the first time, I've been here many years and we focus on the Taiwan stock market. Most of the companies are tech firms. Okay, there's been considerable talk about Taiwan being and the role of the AI it has in AI in the supply chains. Just remember, chips are the oil of the AI industry. If you have a server without chips, you just have a piece of metal. Okay, so the chips are very important. It's not the pick and shovel, it's the actual oil. And Taiwan possesses key sectors in the AI development supply chain. And there's more than 2,000 companies on the stock market here. Not all of them, by the way, are tech firms, but a lot of them are. And TSMC alone has more than 600 companies on its supply chain. That's the size of the Singapore stock market alone. For example, if you're talking about Taiwan and AI, First, you have semiconductors. Okay, great. But well, you have servers. You have end devices. Oh, you have power supply. You have PCB. You have heat dissipation. You have all these sectors that make it up. And then you have all the subsectors in the industry. And then you have all the firms working on it. That shows you the diversity. One of the reasons why we're here is because there's so much diversity in the Taiwan stock market. There's so many companies doing so many different things that you can decide on and you study them. I visited 1,500 companies in the last 10 years, 12 years actually. Okay? You have to know about them, you have to research because they're doing special things all along the supply chain. And they're creating for AI, for the global supply chains. And then the yellow down there in the bottom, Taiwan has other industries. LEO, low Earth orbit satellites. It has traditional industries. It has bicycles, it has auto parts. It has financials. So if you're an investor, and we're talking about investment here in the technology and the trends, well, one of the things you're going to learn is at least Taiwan has this very broad diversification by industry and within each industry. And the Taiwan government has been taking a pragmatic and proactive approach to its investment with the US because it's a very big partner for this tech industry. Most of the companies are coming out from the United States, although there's some very important ones here from Canada. Besides the US technology markets on the NASDAQ and Silicon Valley, Taiwan really is perhaps one of the key markets to be in. Okay? I can't stress that enough because people always ask me, Chris, you know, with all the tensions around, are people leaving Taiwan? Are they pulling their money out? And the reality is no. At AmCham, we've done the surveys, they're not. But it's not just because they're not nervous. They're not nervous. The other thing is if you're going to really have broad exposure to technology industry via capital markets, you got to be here. That's why they're not pulling their money out. And then you compare it to some of the other equity markets around the region. Like I mentioned, Singapore, 600 companies compared to 2,000 here. Hong Kong, property and banking. Japan, South Korea, other markets. Taiwan really is a dynamo when it comes to having markets or companies you can invest in. And the government has picked the winners, they think. Remember, 1980s, they decide semiconductors, and they've set up a company called TSMC in the 1980s. Look where it is today. They bet right, and they usually do a good job of betting on this. So they now have 5 trusted industry sectors that they're looking at. That's what came out September last year, such as semiconductors and AI, but also military, security, surveillance, next generation communications. They're looking at AI, which is the big focus of this show. They want to be a global center for excellence of AI. They're looking, of course, at semiconductors. And just last week, they said what they're going to do? They're going to have another repeat of TSMC via robotics. But it's going to be a little different. They're not going to have the government just take the lead on this one. They want more private investment. That's important for people here who want to know where the trends are and where the investment opportunities might be. So let's move on to the second part of that Taiwan tech story, the SMEs. The number of SMEs in Taiwan, almost 2 million. 97% of all the firms are SMEs. That's a huge percentage. Has a big impact on the economy, but also on the industries too. 700,000 SMEs were just started in the last 8 years. 9,500 startups. Okay? And Taiwan recommends these companies, no matter how big or small they are, how new they are, to become more international. And we'll see what the ramifications are of that. And then you have the government aiming to develop even more SMEs through digitalization and net zero policies. I meet about 2 to 3 companies a week at these investor conferences and IPO conferences and capital raising events. If you look at the stock market, again, look at that. The red line is all the semiconductor industry companies. They've got huge market cap, right? They're well funded. But then you have all those blue ones down below, and in the red boxes, those are the technology and AI related ones. You can see the big gap between the semiconductor industry and capital formation and the rest of them. So the vast majority of the firms are SMEs, often family-run businesses, okay? That makes it harder for them, in some ways, for global expansion. It also makes it harder for them to attract global talent for global expansion. Just yesterday, the statistic came out, Taiwan's April unemployment rate was a 25-year low. That shows that it's really difficult to get employees here. We have a low birth rate, and a lot of these countries are facing the same issue. And also they have an ODM model, meaning they don't They're not the brand leaders. They depend on their clients to be successful. I was telling people from the US government, you want to go after Vietnam, you want to go after India, you want to go after China, okay, fine. When you go after Taiwan, you're going after American companies because all these companies are serving the American companies. Hurt them, you hurt America. How do you do that? They understand that actually. They're just trying to figure out how to make it work for both. And then for me, everybody says, what's the big thing you're worried about? Is it the tariffs? Is it the market downturn? I worry about a recession. When you have an OEM, ODM business model and you're in manufacturing exports, no demand, no factories running. That's what I worry about. And because it looks like China and Taiwan, or it looks like China and the United States are kind of cooling the tempers down and they maybe won't have a recession, maybe at least Taiwan's going to look forward to a better second half. So we saw these problems. Now let's overcome them via investment. What will we do? Well, we got fundraising. Obviously, these companies are getting bigger and expanding. So you have capital raisings, IPOs. We expect to see more of those, and there's a lot of them happening. We also expect more M&A, hopefully cross-border M&A, and also private equity, foreign private equity coming in, helping making these firms grow. Family-run businesses and also family offices are really big in Taiwan. But the family offices are mostly stationed offshore because of regulatory problems, regulatory restraints. And we have venture capital. In fact, at AmCham, we've been working with the Taiwan government on two major things. One, they're going to have an asset management and a wealth management zone in Kaohsiung. We applaud that because we think that's going to bring the capital needed to make these companies more successful, more aggressive, and expand globally. And then also, for the family office part, we're working with the Taiwan government to set up a Taiwan Family Office Task Force so they can finally create a family office industry, which will be helping fuel these companies make that transition from family enterprise to family office and turn them into investors. And as some of you may have heard, the government is seriously talking about a sovereign wealth fund for the first time. Seriously thinking about it. They talked about it before. It never happened. Now they're talking about it, and it looks like it's going to happen. So innovation. Okay, remember, I look at innovation a little bit differently. There's a lot of innovation out here. I know that. That's fine. We know that part. But what we want to do is talk about innovation in terms of opportunities and investment among partners. The companies in Taiwan, especially, let's say, if you just look at one group, the OEM, ODM servers, they're making AI PCs, AI servers, excuse me. Okay, these companies, they're expanding. They're not worried. They don't worry about the trade war. They're going to build their fabs, or they're going to build their plants in Mexico or the United States or Germany or whatnot. Okay, you look at a company like Wistron, number 3 on that list there. Okay, look at their capex. They're expanding their capex from 15 billion to 35 billion in 1 year. That's more than double. Now, a big company, they can get the money. What about an SME that's serving this company, helping them? AI will help them with that too, though, because they'll have the technology to be able to help these companies. So one market I look at, I think Taiwan, where it's been working with for many, many decades, is Taiwan and the USA. Okay, it always feels great, right? You see TSMC, you see the chairman of TSMC standing up there with President Trump and the Department of Commerce head, and you think, wow, this is great. Being in 30 years in Taiwan, you just feel good to see that happen, okay? And it's big, because remember, all these suppliers are also going to support Taiwan and TSMC as they go over there. But it's going to be a lot of pressure. Remember, TSMC doesn't have a lot of extra employees to throw at this project either. And TSMC is going to still diversify by making sure that they go to Germany and also Japan. Another company, Global Wafers, just last week said they built their fab in Texas. It's the first 12-inch silicon wafer fab in the United States. It's a game changer because it's creating resiliency in America's silicon and also semiconductor industry. Taiwan and Italy. Yes, I'm a Italian-American, American of Italian ancestry. But it's not just because of that. Okay, there's other countries here that are really important. Canada is very important. Southeast Asia, the countries are very important. Israel is very important. Okay, all right. They're all very, very important countries. For Taiwan, we need more friends. You can never have enough money. You can never have enough friends. You can always have more, and Taiwan needs them all. Why do I say this? Well, about a year ago, or even less, Europe started to say, you know what, under the Trump administration, okay, we realize we're kind of falling behind. And they're looking at the fact that there's a gap. The United States is leading in technology. Even China's ahead of them. So they have a Future of European Competitiveness report. You see the gentleman there, Mario Draghi. He was the former Prime Minister of Italy, the former President of the European Central Bank, the former Bank of Italy governor. Okay, and he's saying what we need to do is become more competitive, more innovative. Okay, And also areas like security and reducing dependencies, things Taiwan works on every day. Remember, security and cybersecurity in Taiwan is what we live, eat, and breathe every day here. Last year, we had a representative from the Bank of Italy came and gave a very nice speech, and this is one of the things I'll say why Italy and other countries like this would be very good for Taiwan as partners. They talked about the Italian economy and some interesting findings. First, again, wow, high proportion of SMEs, 3.6 million of them in Italy, more than Germany, more than France. High proportion of family-run businesses, sound familiar? Need for corporate consolidation, make these companies bigger. Taiwan's doing that too right now. Economy in Italy possesses a diverse set of industries just like Taiwan. It's not just food and fashion, okay? It's industry, it's consumer goods, it's materials, it's defense. Okay? And actually Italy never really gave up their industrial base. There's a lot of factories. In fact, one Taiwanese steel company bought one of the factories, did an M&A, and they're producing there now too. So Italy has the industrial base. America, we're rebuilding our industrial base. And it's focused on exports, just like Taiwan. 36% of GDP in 2010 was on exports. Now it's up to 50%. And that was in 2019. So it's a good partner for Taiwan if you're focused on these areas. But they need productivity. They're trying to improve the productivity. And Taiwan can help with that with the technology, with the digitalization. They've also had both EU and national plans which can help in digitalization, green transition, funding for these types of projects. And you could talk to trade offices here in Taiwan to find out more information about that. What I look at too is how things are flowing, not just the capital flows, but how people are moving, right? In 2024, Italy was in charge of the G7, had the presidency, and they came up with a cybersecurity working group initiative. Again, opportunity for Taiwan cooperation because they're very interested in this. And also, too, Italy's efforts to develop investment ties in the Middle East and the Gulf. Donald Trump was just there, I think we all know, right? And then you have the Mate Plan, which is investing in Africa. Remember, Taiwan came from a small country to become one of the most affluent, successful, technologically advanced countries in the world. That itself is a business development model. And they did it peacefully, they did it democratically. That could be a model for Africa. And then, of course, for some reason, I don't know why, but Donald Trump doesn't like any leader except for the leader of Italy. He seems to like them. Okay, he likes her. He likes Italy. I think it's because he was a New York City property mogul who likes the Italian marble and the columns and all that. He thinks that's success, I guess. But it's good, and it means that there's an opportunity for another form of communication between the three sides, and that's important for Taiwan. So again, I go back to Global Wafers. Okay, Global Wafers opened up a fab in Texas. They also opened up one, they already had one in Novara in northern Italy and also near Milan. And this week we talked about a small company. They're making the acetate, and they're partnering with a Taiwanese company, a small, medium-sized business. They're partnering with a 175-year-old family-run business in Italy that makes the glasses, the frames for glasses. They're going to make AI glasses. The frames for that. And who are they going to partner with? United States Meta and a French-Italian firm, big brand for glasses. Again, opportunities, and watch these companies because they're going to incorporate AI to do these things. And Taiwan will be able to do these things. Going forward, here's how I'm going to wrap up a little bit. Okay, technology, trade, and societies. Okay, innovation no longer is just about tech. I get the feeling that people are talking more than just tech, not just because AI, but because what we're seeing in the geopolitical realm. We know politicians can come in and knock everything out of the way in about 5 minutes. So we're thinking about technology differently. It doesn't answer all things. You have to be aware of what's going on. AI, by the way, is not a smartphone. It's not a PC as a peripheral. It's not there to assist people. We're seeing that this Computex and at InnoVEX, the AI has the potential, okay, to radically empower people. Somebody was here from Microsoft, they talked about empowerment. It will empower people. I was in the internet. When I saw a small, medium-sized company get their first internet website, suddenly they had as much power as a big company that had 5,000 people, just because they're on the internet. And AI is going to do that for these SMEs. But at the same time, while it can empower people like never before, it can completely replace them like never before. That's what makes it different than a smartphone or a PC. Societies will increasingly, therefore, want to ensure that AI and technology empowers their people and their benefits mankind, like the Pope's talking about, not just the development of the technology. Current policy changes aim to reset the global trade, technology, and manufacturing systems, right? We're seeing this going on in all these capitals around the world, thus they're impacting societies. Alliances and supply chains we're seeing are being redrawn. If you're from a different country and you think about this, think how it's affecting your country. We know how it's affecting Taiwan. Semiconductors, AI, robotics, cybersecurity, these are all the key parts of this future. Taiwan's involved in all of them. They're going to often be impacted by these policies, but they're going to offer immense opportunities as well. And again, I go back to the SMEs. Remember, all SMEs, almost all of them were started off in somebody's garage with 2 people. Okay? All these big companies that are here with the huge booths and stuff, they were probably at the beginning, maybe 20, 30 years ago, they were about 3 people. AI is going to make them big as well, too. So in the last week, we've seen a couple things happen. The president of Taiwan was interviewed in Japan, and he talked about Taiwan's democratic supply chain. That's not something just a politician will talk about. Remember, we're worried about AI and what it's going to do. Whose hands is it in? Who's creating it? Who's setting the rules? Who's making the chips? He's warned about the red supply chain. And remember, free trade versus fair trade. People were asking the question, there's a difference. And it's being thought about in the United States. And then you have the former president of Taiwan. She's in Europe, and she's talking about resilience, the Taiwan's resilience, and also the global trade pressures that Taiwan's facing under these new regimes and these new organizations. And then you have the premier of Taiwan, Zhou Rongtai, and what does he say? He says, U.S. is a big market for Taiwan, but not the only one, meaning they need diversity too, and they're not just going to bet on one market. Taiwan and the United States will always have a big industry because a big relationship because we help each other with our security, we help each other many things, people-to-people ties, so many ways. But it's not the only market for Taiwan now, and it's not the only partner. So, wrapping up here, how societies develop and use AI will be the key. Open societies and systems will probably be better suited for that AI development. I am sure countries like Canada will continue to play even more important role in this in the future. Same with countries in Singapore. Ones that are already respecting people, human rights, civil rights, rule of law, they will be on the forefront, I think, of being able to use AI in the future. Taiwan is an innovator, okay? If you can survive after being thrown out of a country, being thrown out of the United Nations, okay, it's an innovator. It knows how to survive, okay? While Taiwan became more technologically and economically advanced, too, it became more democratic. And as it became more democratic, it became more technologically and economically advanced. That's a model. That's an innovation model. And finally, technology has empowered Taiwan and its people, not replaced them. If you have a company of 20 people and you say, I want to use AI, I don't think you're doing it because you want to lay off 15 of them. You're going to want to expand that company and do things you could have never dreamed of. So, the seas will be rough in the next few years, I can guarantee you. If you're on a small boat or a small yacht, no matter how luxurious it is, you're not going to want to travel alone. So, there are historic times. Investors, policymakers are going to need to be ready for this. Businesses and investors have to understand and address these changes, but get involved. Okay, this is not the time to be saying, I'll just wait till that president leaves. I'll wait till the next change comes up. You got to get involved now through organizations like these chambers that I work with, through the trade offices, through companies that are trying to work with bringing companies to market and things of that nature. Okay, work today because, like I said, a good plan today is better than the perfect one tomorrow, as George Patton said many years ago. So I know PowerPoint makes everything sound very easy. Okay, yes, I solved the world's problems, I know that, okay? But in reality, building the future, especially with AI, should not be impossible, okay? Especially if people work together intelligently, and I think that artificial intelligence is the key there, if we use it to build it. Okay, so thank you very much. 谢谢, grazie mille.
Thank you. Grazie to Mr. Cottorone for your dedication to small and medium enterprises. Thank you. Our next speaker, it's our honor to have the Representative Director and COO of Leave a Nest Group, Dr. Shuichiro Takahashi. Dr. Takahashi earned his PhD in Life Sciences from the University of Tokyo, specializing in plant virology, and is regarded as a pioneer among Japan's young researchers. He co-founded Leave a Nest in 2002, a company dedicated to promoting academia-industry collaboration and open innovation. He also serves as the representative director of Leave a Nest Capital and is a prominent figure in Japan's tech industry. Today, his speech topic is Dawn of Knowledge Manufacturing. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Dr. Shuichiro Takahashi.
Thank you for having me today. I'm honored to be here. I'm Shuichiro Takahashi, the representative director of Leave a Nest Japan and Leave a Nest Capital. Today, I'm talking about the current activities of Leave a Nest Group and my thought on Japanese deep tech ecosystem. But before diving into my talk, I would like to share about my personal story with Taiwan. Actually, my wife and 3 kids lived in Taiwan, Taipei, for 3 years. And this photo was taken on the first day they arrived to Taiwan in 2017. Unfortunately, it was a rainy day, but I still remember that we are so excited to start our life, new chapter of our life at the time here in Taiwan. So for my family, the Taipei is our second hometown. And let me begin my talk. My name is Shuichiro Takahashi, and originally I was a researcher in university. I studied plant physiology at Tokyo Institute of Technology and received a PhD from the University of Tokyo. As an assistant professor of University of Tokyo, I worked for the project to establish plant clinic. But at the same time, I want to expand my activity not only in university, academia, but in business, because I have a big passion to accelerate communication between academia and industry. So that's why I became one of the founding members of Leave a Nest. The Leave a Nest, we established our company in 2002, 23 years ago. And at the time, I was a graduate school student in University of Tokyo, and all of our members are graduate school students. So, to be honest, no one have experience in business. Of course, we don't have money, but we have a big passion to contribute to the society using our technology. So, our vision is advancing science and technology for global happiness. And this vision continues today. And in Japan, now there are 70 staffs in our company, and all of us have a PhD or master degree from the various research fields. And our office in Tokyo and Osaka in Japan, and subsidiary in Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines, US, and UK. So, I guess that most of you here are the professional of investment or engineering technology or management of venture business. But actually, our first business is not like such kind of business. Actually, the first business of Leave a Nest is education service. We provide a science workshop for school. Of course, everyone agree the importance of nurturing next generation, right? But actually, to be honest, it's very difficult to monetize it. But the young researcher in the science workshop play an important role as a lecturer, as a teaching assistant, and gradually they realize the importance of bridge communication. So, through these experience, we came to realize the importance of science bridge communication. You know that there are the big gap between academia and society. I want to tackle to the gap between them. So the river nest, all of the river nest business now is based on the concept of science bridge communication. And now we expand this concept. So the science bridge communicator in a company don't only communicate about science. We bridge the knowledge, experience, issues to create new business and solution for the world. So as I mentioned before, we started educational company. But now our business is not only in education, but in the development human capitals and conducting research and development. And of course, encourage the deep tech entrepreneur. And one of our core activities in encourage the entrepreneur deep tech ventures is Tech Planter. Tech Planter is launched in 2040, and Tech Planter built ecosystem to tackle deep issue by integrating deep tech. And Tech Planter also platform for rising several key issues for creating a new project. Our activities started in 2040 in Japan, but now we expand our activities 6 countries in Southeast Asia. Over 3,000 deep tech startup is now in our ecosystem. And actually, we conducted Tech Planter in Taiwan in 2040. The same year we started in Japan, actually. So today, some of the amazing partner we worked with at that time is coming to here. Thank you very much. But although we stopped our activities in 2017 here in Taiwan, but I sincerely hope to reignite our activities here in Taiwan in the near future. So, by the way, actually, we also have our investment arms in our group. And one of the investment arm, Riverness Capital, already invested to 69 companies, and 50 of them are Japanese startups, and other 19 startups is from Southeast Asia and Europe. But most of them are alumni of Tech Planter. So to be honest, actually, we already create a collaboration project before we invested. So the priority is not the short-term financial return, to be honest, but the performance is not so good, not so bad. So our investments are driven more by mission alignment than by short-term financial returns. So, by the way, here's a question. Why we do this? How can we update industry? So today, I'm going to propose a new concept, knowledge manufacturing, 知識製造業. You know that every venture have their own knowledge. Every big company, of course, have own knowledge. And of course, every SME also have their knowledge. The knowledge manufacturing means creating two knowledge by combining existing knowledge for solving deep issue. So let me talk a bit about the Japanese situation now, background now. As you probably know, the population in Japan gradually decreased now after 2010. And so some of the analysts said the Japanese economy is shrinking now. But actually, I disagree with that opinion. I think the Japanese society is now in the era of mature growth. Of course, the population is decreased. Of course, we need to develop the method to growing another way. So I think the knowledge manufacturing is key concept to achieve the mature growth. So, for example, I try to explain my concept thinking about the manufacturing company. As you know, that Japan still has a strength. The SME have a lot of knowledge in it. So I mean the knowledge include the accumulation of know-how, experience, can listen to entrepreneur and visualize from idea without blueprint. That's the strength of Japanese SME. Without blueprint, they can make something. And of course, a network for mass production, mindset to make it happen. And I think, in my opinion, the most important thing is the skill of suriawase. Suriawase is a Japanese, and to be honest, it's very difficult to explain, translate in English. It's a kind of adjustment, integration, arrangement. But actually, none of them, I think, can describe the word perfectly. So, I will show some example for you. The one of the SME in Tokyo, Hamano product. They are professional of manufacturing, run sheet metal processing. And President Hamano-san is the second generation in his family business. Of course, they already have a lot of projects from a big company. So, and most of them are subcontracting work. So, through these activities, the Hamano product have a lot of knowledge. One day, President Hamano-san decide to start using this knowledge. He want to support the startup to make a prototype. So kindly, he joined our tech planter platform in 2014 as a manufacturing partner. And here is 3 cases the Hamano product supported for their prototyping. The first is a CharEnergy, the new generation wind turbine venture in Japan. Actually, the CharEnergy is the first grand winner of our tech planter. But at that time, their prototype is very small one and made of a kind of plastic. And nobody believed that technology will change the world. But the Hamano-san supported, give the CharEnergy his knowledge. And 2 years ago, in 2016, the CharEnergy finally create their prototype for POC. When the Japanese big companies see the prototype, they are very interested in the CharEnergy and their technology. So some of big companies investment and give that knowledge, their knowledge to the China. And finally, in 2021, they are success to settle the big one in the Philippines. And other cases, Ori Lab Inc. and Will Inc. also supported by the Hamano product. And actually, I think the Will is very famous here in Taiwan because the mass production of Will is conducting here in Taiwan. And actually, I see yesterday, I see the Will product in this venue. So the mass production in Taiwan, but the prototyping in Japan. I think it's a kind of knowledge manufacturing. So this is an overview of River-Nest Group. The center, the River-Nest, as a science bridge communicator, we always try to initiate a new project. And of course, we have 4 investment arms in our group. In addition to, we have some specialists, agri-tech, life tech, food tech, eco-tech, medical, IT, kind of artist, and the next generation team. In addition, we have 5 manufacturing arms in our group. So ultimately, our group mission is to be the most effective knowledge manufacturing group in the world. So this is the last slide. The River-Nest is a knowledge manufacturing company. Of course, we want to start a new collaboration with all you in the near future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Takahashi for your expertise and in-depth analysis of the topic. Last but not least, our last speaker would be the Vice President of Might Electronics and the founder and Executive Director of MightyNet, Mr. Ray Tai. With over 20 years of experience in the ODM EMS industry, Ray specializes in business development and product management, previously responsible for North American operations and South American projects in Asia Cap Optical. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Ray Tai.
Whoa. We are in the end, and hopefully we can show the presentation and also bring more networking time for each other. So my name is Ray, CEO of the MightyNet. Today, I think we actually see a lot of insight from the amazing speaker and a bunch of information and database to relate to Taiwan and the ecosystem of other countries. And today, I would like to share more about our story and how we, from the small enterprise, to become the hardware accelerator. So first of all, MightyNet is actually the hardware accelerator we founded in 2016, and we turned the star and the innovator from the idea to product, from the concept to the commercialization. And we use the magnet as an inspiration, and we hopefully to attract more and more talent and deep tech people in the networking together. So this is our milestone. We actually start our business 40 years ago, almost 40 years. And like more traditional electronic manufacturing, we actually have the business in mainland China and also set up the facility in Vietnam. And we have sales offices in Singapore. And we are going to have our new office in Japan next year. And so currently, we have 2 facilities in Taiwan, 2 in mainland China, and 1 in Vietnam, and the sales office in Singapore, in Taiwan, and R&D center in Taiwan as well. And it's about 300 people in Taiwan and about 900 totally worldwide. So we are lucky in the past decade, we served a lot of good customers, like the Asahi Kasei is actually joined the semiconductor company from Japan, and also Acer and the big manufacturing like the Foxconn, and also the very famous chip vendor, MediaTek and Wistron. But 80% our business is actually generated by the worldwide international company. And two of them I marked with the unicorn. It's because we actually served the unicorn before. The first unicorn we are talking about is Ubiquiti Network. The founder is Robert Pera, who left Apple by 2005 and started collaborating with us in the same year. Initially, we don't know what they do, but it's a very creative idea and a very crazy activity, so we start collaborating. And after 6 years, he actually became the IPO company in Nasdaq and generate billion and billion business to us. It's not related to the revenue only. We also learn a lot from the company. And when they IPO, their valuation is about 3 billion. So he's a founder and very young, and he's a billionaire of the world now. So this story actually inspires us a lot to do more early engage with the SaaS ecosystem. And we are lucky to serve another unicorn, is Sigma from France. And we already have the very good business and partnership with them to understanding their technology and also learn each other. So let's say what the synergy we saw from these unicorns. We saw a lot of synergy and a lot of knowledge is actually for the future world, for the artificial intelligence. But come back to the factor of the artificial intelligence, you need to have the data, right? And Taiwan is actually very good to make their hardware, which is the infrastructure for the data. So we are understanding the logic for the computing, algorithm, and also power consumption, which is very important to generate the data, especially in edge and real world. So let's say before we are actually called the Silicon Island because we are very good in 3 areas. The first one is semiconductor. We are #1 of the semiconductor today. And we are also the #1 in electronic manufacturing service like my company. And we are also #1 of the healthcare. And we are actually have very good ranking in competitiveness in A, and also innovation force, and also the #1 economic stabilities of the world. So is there any opportunity we can turn our Silicon Island to the Star Island to generate and attracting more and more the Star come to Taiwan? But the reality is what the quote, I heard the quote from the LinkedIn founder, Red Hochman. He mentioned, make the SAR, it's just like you jump off the cliff and you assemble an airplane on the way down. It's mean very, very difficult. So people always say hardware is hard. But if we look into what's the hard part or challenging part, first of all, we can take a look into the portfolio of the team. The most of the team, they have their 1, 2, 3 operation experience before they jump into the SAR. And 4 to 10 people, and education is about their 44% is bachelor and 9% is PhD, and the age is from the 26 to 30. So through such kind of portfolio, what they need to do for the hardware are mechanical, electronic, software, marketing, firmware, sourcing, industrial design. They are all they need to do to generate a real product in hardware. So 82% of them, they will subcontract their business and process like this, and only focus on the core business themselves, like the software, like the algorithm. Let's check into the time frame. If you are going to generate your prototype, normally you will budget 1 to 3 years, 1 to 3 months, sorry, to generate a prototype. But it's only a prototype. If you are turn the prototype to the mass production, it will cost another 3 to 6 months. It means if you are going to create your personal digital stuff, you need to at least 4 to 9 months as a budget time. In our experience, most of the time you need a year or 2 years, especially for aerospace or medical industrial. And back to the investment. Most of the venture capital don't like the hardware because it's actually capital gain. So it grows very slow, and the cash flow is crucial for the hardware startup. Except for the crowdfunding, you can really get the money before you ship the good. Most of hardware startups, they actually need to wait the payment turn from the sales channel, and the cash flow during this period is crucial for the hardware startup. And if you are on to IPO, the average will be the 8 year. So come back to our customer Ubiquiti. They actually IPO within 6 years. They are lucky. So let's say if you are a software star, you actually can solo yourself, like the lady in the left. But if you are a hardware star, you do the integration between the software and hardware. Actually, you are the director of the symphony. You need to lead the whole supply chain to build your product together. So let's go to the journey of the product. We say 0 to 1 is the concept to the prototype, and the 1 to 100 probably is a product to max production. But there are a lot of details like this. For example, design validation. So there are a lot of regulation, certification you need to get before you sell your product to different nations. Without them, you cannot even sell your product. And the reliability is also one key factor. Most of how we start, they will forget to do the decent reliability tests, like the high temperature, low temperature, and a lot of reliability tests. So there are a lot of detail in the facts. So normally, they need to respond for the prototype, and we suggest them to find a reliable partner to overcome the other process, like the design verification, small run, and mass production. And what are the relate to the IoT? So that would say there were 4 structure is crucial. The first is the wireless. How to select the correct wireless solution. There will be Wi-Fi, there will be Bluetooth or LoRa or MBLT or CFast and other wireless protocol. Which one is benefit and which one is the efficiency for your solution? And also different sensor like the vital sign sensor, accelerometer, GI sensor, environment sensor, and how to make the power consumption is low, and how to link all this data to the cloud. So all this factor is crucial for your solution. And if we look into the ecosystem of the IoT or hardware integration, there will be 6 parties you need to understand and collaborate. The first one will be the chip solution. So you probably need to find the good and reliable chip solution, and the FAE, they can really support the technology to you. Because if you choose select the wrong foundation, you need to ruin everything if you change the foundation. So chip say solution is the first step. And secondary, you need to find a reliable chip agent, which is a supplier, to find the good source and secure source to make sure your cost and the lead time is reasonable. And you need to find the design firm, of course, and you need to get through all the certification and target the marking of the regulation. You need to find the manufacturing. You also need to find a good solution for a cloud service. Without each of them, your solution cannot be success. And let's get back to the business side. Supplier or ecosystem of IoT is actually one thing. So for the middle step, R&D, manufacturing, supply chain is actually only one thing. For real success assets for the IoT, you need, first of all, good business model with the money. Money is crucial, everybody agree. And the third one, you need to find the buyer, the user, and how to scale out your marketing. So a good idea, make it and sell it. Without any of it, you cannot succeed. So we are lucky to achieve have more ecosystem partners to join in the past decade, like the different venture capital and different technical institute, and also the other accelerator. They are help us to find a good portfolio and invest them together. So let's back to us, how we start collaborating with Huawei company and SAR. So we actually started the accelerator program with Tsinghua University and also ICHI in Hsinchu. And after 3 years, we also joined the biggest SAR ecosystem cluster called the SAR Terrace in New Taipei City. And we also have the sales office in Taipei and also Tainan Science Park. All the goal is to close to the Huawei ecosystem, because we do believe to engage with the early stage of the Huawei is crucial for us, for our future. So this is the new headquarters we just set up in 2021. And with the new facility, except for the new facility, we would like to have more integration and software solution with our partner. So we create a Mighty Link. It's an innovation testing field. We invite all the parties, including our unicorn partner and the star partner, to testing their solution in our field. So we already generated over 10 or 20 solutions inside our testing field, not including the fusion, wireless, and the security system. We actually help with 4 different parties, including Chunghwa Telecom and 2 unicorn. And except for the wireless solution and the security solution, we also find 3 different parties. They are from SAR side. One is from Canada, one is from Taiwan, one is from Finland. And building a digital twin of the factory and using the 3D point cloud mapping to check in the equipment and assets, and also enable the 360-degree parameter navigation. And in the future for this will be the real digital platform for our decision support. And regarding to sensor, we actually build a sensor ourselves, like different environment sensors like air quality and water quality. And we also utilize the sensor in the smart factory solution. And except for sensing, we also help them to find the solution, like how to trigger the air purifier with the air quality sensor. And we also create the smart manufacturing dashboard by integrating a machine with energy data, environment condition data, and also operation signal. Through this kind of IoT, we can actually acquire the data, and this data will be our oil to generate the artificial intelligence in the future. Of course, artificial intelligence, we actually collaborate with several SAR. They are from the AI. They actually contribute their knowledge to us, and we integrate the different solutions like the defect detection, human factor analysis, and also decision maker support. And all this data will link to our platform, Mighty Link. So the SAR, they can easily to change and exchange the data and create the digital transformation platform with us. So since 2016, we already collaborate with 150 SAR. They are not just in Taiwan. They are from the 13 nations, including Japan, Singapore, Israel, Canada, and also United States, of course. So we are lucky to have so many partners that would like to trust us and build the product together and generate the solution together and testing their solution in Taiwan with us together. So luckily we have. And this is our program. We actually started a new program to recruit the SAR early of this year. And we will have the accelerating coaching section and the one-on-one consulting section from July to November. And in the end, we'll have the demo day in mid-Taipei, which is also a very crucial SAR expo in Taiwan. And except for Taiwan, we also have the different section in Tokyo. And so we actually just host an event called Taiwan Innovation Night this month, and it's about 200 people to join the event. And we collaborate with Jetro and also Fujitsu, and so Salesforce in Japan together. And in September, we will join the biggest smart manufacturing expo called NEBCON in Japan as well. So this is some picture. This is the demo day we host the end of the last year, and also a lot of demo day. And on the left side is actually the another demo day in CIC Tokyo, and that just happened this month. So, yeah. So, the last but not least, so I've read like the quote for the Mark Andreessen, which is a very famous venture capital. He said one quote is that software is eating a war. And this is actually shaped the whole decade of the digital transformation in the past decade. But during the pandemic, when the pandemic COVID-19 hit us, he said something else. He said, it's time to build. Why he say that? Because the pandemic actually reminded us if we lost of the capability to build out a medical device or a simple mask, we cannot save people, right? So the hardware, the innovation is actually very crucial. Thus, we believe the last innovation should be the hardware. So the hardware make the cloud to the ground and also make the code become the real impact to the real life. So I believe I totally believe it will be the crucial things we should work together to build more things and in Taiwan and with us for the hardware innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ray Tai, for your insightful sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation this afternoon. We now open the floor for our networking session. Please feel free to connect with the speakers and each other during this session. We wish you a very pleasant and productive day. InnoVEX 2026 will be from June 2nd to June 5th, 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, see you again next year at InnoVEX 2026.